All about chocolate. All about chocolate. Focus question. How are people both producers and consumers? Introduction. Ask people about their favorite sweet thing to eat, and they'll probably say it's chocolate. People around the world love chocolate. They love it so much that every year they eat more chocolate than any other sweet. If you have ever wondered where chocolate comes from and how it's made, then read on. Where chocolate comes from. It might surprise you to learn that chocolate actually grows on trees. That doesn't mean that you can pick a chunk of chocolate from a tree branch and eat it. In fact, the chocolate growing on trees looks, tastes, and smells nothing like the chocolate you eat. The tree that gives us chocolate is the cacao tree. It is an evergreen tree that can grow to be over 40 feet, 12.2 meters tall. Cacao trees grow where it is hot and wet. Mostly, they grow near the equator. When young, these trees need protection of the wind and sun, but as they grow older, they can grow in full sunlight. The cacao tree originated in the Amazon River region of South America. Through the course of history, the tree spread to other parts of South America and north to Central America and Mexico. It was also introduced to other parts of the world, including Africa, in 1870. Today, more than two-thirds of the world's cacao comes from Western Africa. Brazil is the next largest producer. Today, most cacao trees are grown on large farms. Cacao trees have large, smooth, shiny green leaves that stay on the tree year-round. They have lots of small flowers that bloom during the year. The flowers give off a bad smell that attracts flies to pollinate the plants. Some of the flowers change into buds, but most not do. Only about 1 out of every 10 or 20 flowers will become a bud. It takes 4 to 5 years before a cacao tree begins to grow buds. Chocolate comes from beans that are found in these pods. The pods grow on the trunk and larger branches of the tree throughout the year. Workers trim the branches to make sure that they get the most pods possible from the trees. The pods are green when they first form, but they change to a golden or reddish color as they get ripe. The pods are picked when they are ripe or mature. Since cacao tree roots grow closer to the surface and are easily damaged, workers have to be careful not to step on the tree's roots when they remove the pods. Preparing the beans. Taking the pods from the cacao trees is the first step in making chocolate. It's not the pods that are important. It's the 20 to 50 beans found inside the pods which are actually the tree's seeds. It takes a lot of beans and a lot of work to make the kilogram 2 IB of chocolate. About 800 beans removed from 20 to 40 pods are needed. First, the pods are called a machete. It cuts each pod open with 1 or 2 strong wicks. A skilled pod breaker can break open as many as 500 pods in a single hour. The beans are then scooped out of the open pods. You might expect the beans to be brown. Instead, they are cream-colored and covered with a soft pulp. These beans are a long way from being the chocolate you know. The pulp-covered beans are put into piles or boxes and covered. The beans from in contact with the air, they begin to change from a cream color to a purple color. The beans also change on the inside in a process called fermentation. Fermentation can take more than a week, but the fermented beans still do not taste or smell like chocolate. After the beans have fermented, they are dried. The beans are either dried outdoors by spreading them on a large mat in the sun, or they are taken indoors, dried by hot, dry air blown from pipes. As they dried, the beans are turned. Once the beans are dry, they are placed in large cloth bags and shipped to makers of chocolate. From beans to chocolate. Making chocolate from the fermented dried beans is a very long and complicated process. First, the beans need to be cleaned, removing any remaining pulps or pieces of the pods. Then chocolate makers blend different varieties of beans to make sure the chocolate has just the right flavor. The cleaned and blended beans are roasted in order to bring out the chocolate flavor. This is the stage when the beans begin to smell like chocolate. As the beans are roasted, the thin shell that covers them grows brittle. The beans pass through a special machine that cracks their shells and blows away the pieces of shell with fans. After the shells are removed, only the meaty part of the bean called nib remains. The nibs are ground up and crushed until they become a liquid. The liquid is poured into molds where it cools into bars of bitter, unsweetened chocolate. The bars are then pressed until the most important part of the chocolate, the yellow liquid called cocoa butter, is removed. The cocoa butter drains through a screen and is located to make the chocolate we eat. After the liquid cocoa butter is removed, the solid part of the bar is ground into a powder. Cocoa powder is sent to dairies and bakeries to flavor baked goods and dairy products. Word origins: cacao or cocoa. When the products of the cacao tree made their way to English-speaking countries, the word cacao became cocoa. Writers and speakers of English today still use the word cacao when discussing the tree and its flowers, pods, and beans. People usually use the word cocoa when discussing the many products that come from the beans. The chocolate we eat is made in a final step called conching, which takes place in machines with big rollers. A mixture of sugar, cocoa powder, cocoa butter, and other ingredients, such as milk and vanilla, is placed in the machines and then rolled and mixed until smooth. The smooth mixture is poured into molds and cooled. After it is cooled and solidified, the chocolate is removed from the molds and wrapped in packages for shipping. Another popular form of chocolate is white chocolate. White chocolate is made by mixing sugar and milk solids directly with cocoa butter. First, roasting. 2. Second, shelling. Third, grinding. Fourth, mixing. Fifth, conching. Sixth, pouring. Seventh, cooling. Eighth, wrapping. History of chocolate. As near as historians can tell, people living in Mexico and Central America were using chocolate almost 2,000 years ago. These people enjoyed a drink called soyate, made from roasted cacao beans. But if you try this drink today, you'd find that it tastes much different from the chocolate drinks you enjoy. In fact, it was a very bitter-tasting drink, kind of like coffee. It was not until a Spanish conquistador by the name of Hernan Cortes returned from a voyage to what is now Mexico that Europeans began to see that there were value in cacao beans. The great Aztec ruler Moctezuma had served Cortes a drink made from cacao beans. The Aztecs told Cortes that it was the drink of the gods. They believed that cacao beans gave them added wisdom and strength. They placed so much value on cacao beans that used the beans as a form of forms of money. Cortes saw more value in the beans as money than as a drink. He planted cacao trees so that he could use the beans not for chocolate but as money. It was his way of growing money on trees. Cortes brought back knowledge of how to make the chocolate drink, but it still was not popular outside the Americas. Eventually, the Spanish began mixing sugar with the drinks along with cinnamon and vanilla, and serving it hot. The drink soon became very popular among the valued chocolate, so much that they kept the knowledge of how to make it secret from the rest of Europe for almost 100 years. The Spanish created many plantations of cacao trees in their colonies in South and Central America to ensure plenty of beans. During this time, countries at war with Spain would sometimes capture Spanish ships full of cacao beans and destroy them as worthless because they had no idea what the beans were used for. It is widely rumored that Spanish monks were the ones who finally shared the secret of how chocolate was made with other Europeans, changing the world forever. Until the 1600s and 1700s, chocolate was a luxury food for loyalty and powerful church officials. During the 1600s, people began grinding large amounts of cacao beans in mills, producing much more chocolate and lowering the cost. The invention of smooth milk chocolate also added to the treat's popularity. The first chocolate shop opened in 1657 in London, England. In the 1700s, a steam-driven chocolate grinder was invented, allowing factories to quickly make tons of affordable chocolate. Today, chocolate is the favorite and affordable treat in many countries. Chocolate timeline. The first use of chocolate by people in Mexico and Central America. Chocolate used as money by people in Mexico and Central America. Hernan Kurtz brings cacao beans and knowledge of how to make chocolate drinks to Spain. A Frenchman opens the first chocolate shop in London, England. Cocoa press is invented. First solid chocolate bar is sold. Swiss man makes and sells the first milk chocolate. Milton Hershey established Hershey Chocolate Company in the United States. Invention of a method for making chocolates filled with other sweets. World consumers over 4 million metric tons of cacao beans. Do you know? Recent medical studies show that there are definite medical benefits to eating chocolate. The benefits are linked to dark chocolate rather than milk chocolate. Some of the medical benefits include a reduction in heart disease and blood pressure. Chocolate today. Most of the chocolate made in factories today is used to make chocolate candy. Other chocolate goes into ice cream, chocolate drinks, and baked goods such as cakes and donuts. Even a sauce called mole, used in Mexican cooking, is made from chocolate. Each year, people around the world consume tons of chocolate. The people in Switzerland consume more chocolate per person than anyone else in the world. They are joined in their love of chocolate by people in many other European countries. Meanwhile, more of the world's cocoa comes from West Africa and from any other region. Sadly, much of the labor to harvest cacao beans are done by children. More than 2 million children in 2015 because many people they are so poor. Parents often can't afford to send their children to school. Some of these children work on farms instead. The work is often hard and dangerous. Some of the world's biggest chocolate companies have taken steps to reduce their reliance on child labor. However, its root cause farmers in West Africa live on less than $1 a day. One solution is to simply pay the farmers more of their cocoa. Some small companies already do this. They make fair trade chocolate, which allows farmers and their families to earn enough to live on. It means children can go to school instead of working on cocoa farms. But since fair trade cocoa costs more, much of that cost is passed on to chocolate consumers. Some people might not buy fair trade chocolate if they think it is too expensive. Conclusion. It took a long time for chocolate to become popular outside the regions of Central and South America where cacao trees were first grown and used. Over the years, people added things such as sugar and milk to the long and complicated process of making chocolate from cacao beans. Today, people around the world eat millions of kilograms of chocolate, making it the world's most popular sweet. Yummy chocolate brownies. Try these. Make sure you have an adult help you with any cutting or handling of hot foods. First, gather these ingredients. 1 cup of butter or margarine. 4 squares, 1 ounce each of unsweetened chocolate, also called baker's chocolate. 4 eggs. 2 cups white sugar. 2 teaspoons vanilla extract. 1 and 2 of 1 cups all-purpose flour. 1 teaspoon baking powder, pinch of salt. Second, preheated the oven to 350 degrees Celsius Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius. Rub grease over a 9 times 13 inch 15 cup baking pan. Melt the butter in a saucepan over medium heat on the stove top. After the butter is melted, take it off at the heat and stir in the chocolate until it is melted and mixed in. Add the eggs one at a time, stirring thoroughly. Then add the sugar and vanilla, stirring the mixture until smooth. In a separate bowl, mix the flour, baking powder, and salt. Gently pour the butter, chocolate, and sugar mix into the flour and stir it until the flour is completely wet. Pour the mixture into the baking pan and spread it evenly. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes until the brownies begin to pull away from the side of the pan. Let the brownies cool in the pan before you cut them. Make 12 brownies.